Hello everyone, Void here, coming back at y'all with another Commander Tips video. This is all going to be for Commander 2018. I'm going to go over, or try to go over, each individual deck, tell you what I think about them, the Commander options that are newly introduced here, where they would best fit, either as a Commander or one of the 99. We're going to make that determination in this video. Now, Adaptive Enchantment is supposed to be an enchantment-based deck, but what they didn't tell you was that it has a much heavier theme around auras. So if they said from the start that this is going to be an aura-themed deck, people wouldn't be as upset as far as adherence to a theme, which seems to be a common complaint with a lot of these commander decks. But we have 4 brand new options to look at. 3 of them are going to be Bant, and then Ericsmethis. The Slumbering Isle is the Simic colored one. That seems to be a theme here. You get 3 3-colored ones, and then you get 1 2-colored commander option. Well, let's look at the very first one here. We have Estrid the Masked, 4-mana Bant Planeswalker, base loyalty of 3. Her +2 is untap each enchanted permanent you control, which is mainly why this deck should have been called the Aura deck as opposed to just the enchantment deck. Obviously, this is only going to work with auras because auras are the only things that enchant permanents. But this is a very good +2, and some people have even compared it to Teferi, Temporal Archmage, his ability to untap permanents. Main difference though is that this takes a lot more of a setup than just simply having like a Grim Monolith and the Chain Veil. You actually need to have a decent number of auras already, and you probably want them on your lands as well. And there are actually a decent number of land enchantments. Most of them are green, so untapping your lands is a pretty big deal. And then her -1, which is also pretty sweet, you get to create a white aura enchantment token named Mask, and it's attached to another target permanent. The cool thing is that that token has enchant permanent and totem armor, which was all the way back from the original Zendikar block. And if that permanent would be destroyed, the totem armor is destroyed instead. So it's like an extra line of defense. It's literally an armor. And then her ult is put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard, and then you return all non-aura enchantments from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then you do the same for aura cards. So it's kind of like a replenish and open the vaults. Basically, mass recursion for all of your enchantments, which yes, it does synergize with enchantments overall, but you're going to be playing a ton of auras in here. I mean, obviously, you're going to also be playing Rhystic Study, Sylvan Library, the staples, but the deck is primarily going to be about auras. And then we have this next commander option in Cassia, the Cultivator, which to me, I'm actually more excited for her, even though she's kind of basic and linear. When you're looking to build an enchantment deck, one of the things you'd probably want is an enchantment creature as a commander. She's really cool. She's also 4 mana and Bant for a 4/4 legendary enchantment creature Nymph. She has Bestow for 6 mana. The enchanted creature gets +4/+4, and whenever an enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control attacks, you get to draw a card, which to me is really cool. It's kind of like Varina the Lich Queen. You have an engine entirely built around your creatures attacking and you getting a bunch of card draw. It's extremely linear. She just gives +4/+4 to the enchanted creature, no other keywords. So you're probably not going to have the best looking team, but the fact that you're able to draw a card whenever each individual creature or enchanted creature attacks, I'd say that's a pretty big deal. And you get to keep those cards. Unlike with Varina, you'd have to discard them. So while she is incredibly linear, she doesn't really do anything else. Having a Bestow commander, to me at least, was something I was looking forward to in this deck. We don't have the Constellation mechanic in here as far as the commander goes. We have a new card, Nylea's Colossus, which did bring back Constellation, but unfortunately, it didn't seem to be a huge theme with the deck. And then we have the next commander option, Tuvasa the Sunlit. She's just 3 mana and Bant for a 1/1 legendary Merfolk Shaman. She gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, and whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, you draw a card. Now, this is actually the most enchantment-centric commander of the deck, in my opinion, because it's just enchantments in general. You don't have to go with Voltron, with auras, or anything like that. You can just go Sylvan Library, Rhystic Study, even a land tax, something that's pretty much going to stay on the field. It doesn't have to be enchanting anything else, and you can still get a decent amount of power on your Tuvasa. And you also have a really good engine here, even if it is just drawing 1 card for your first enchantment. It's still worth noting that card draw, even in the smallest amounts, is still going to be good for any deck that is built around either Voltron, Combat, you don't already have the best control or the best ways of drawing more cards in the game, if you want to go with that strategy, it can be a little bit more difficult for you. So having a way to draw cards, filling your hand back up, is pretty good. And then we have the last option here in Ericsmethis. I'm probably never going to pronounce that right. The Slumbering Isle, 4 mana, for a 12/12 legendary Kraken. Enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it, and as long as Ericsmethis has a slumber counter on it, it's a land. And whenever you cast a spell, you may remove a slumber counter from Ericsmethis, and he taps to add blue-green to your mana pool. So he's pretty much a Simic Growth Chamber for 4 mana, and it doesn't bounce a land back to your hand, which can be good. It's decent ramp. However, easy to shut this down if you want to go with the obvious Voltron. 12 power, swinging at your opponents with unblockable, which we have things like Whisper Silk Cloak, Rogue's Passage that can do this pretty easily. You could deal commander damage with just 2 swings, knock a player out of the game. Easy to shut it down though, because one of the most popular commanders in the format does proliferate, and pretty much any sort of deck that has either counters on them for suspend, like Joyra of the Get To, are just easy to shut down. All you have to do is just proliferate a couple times, and you're going to make sure that this guy stays asleep because you're just going to keep putting slumber counters on him. Hopefully, though, you're not going up against an Atraxa deck or any deck that plays Proliferate. But the best way to get those slumber counters off of him is to cast more spells, and the best way to do that is to get some cheap things going for you. I don't always recommend playing Gitaxian Probe in a commander deck, but it's pretty much free just for 2 life, and you get to remove a slumber counter. Same thing with a good card like Noxious Revival, also really cheap. You don't have to pay any mana for it. And one of my favorite cantrips, Frantic Search, is practically free so long as it doesn't get countered. You get to untap 3 lands, and you also get to loot. So cost efficiency with those spells, really cheap. And this is in addition to other good cantrips like Ponder, Preordain. You're going to remove more slumber counters, get your spell count up there. Probably the best way that I would go about doing that. And this is, of course, in addition to playing, like I said before, good ways of making Ericsmethis unblockable, because that's what you want to do. No other keywords, so you might as well go for that. Prowler's Helm is a pretty underrated card, pretty much unblockable. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think about Adaptive Enchantment. I'm honestly iffy about this deck. I think if it had more constellation themes with it, or if it was more about enchantments in general, as opposed to auras, I'd probably be more about the deck. Not saying I don't like these commander options, because I think they're pretty good and interesting. Maybe not as creative as I was hoping, but I'll still definitely get this deck just to play with Cassia the Cultivator, because I really like having an enchantment creature as the commander for an enchantment deck, and she might just be the best all-around enchantment commander coming out of this deck. You have a decent card draw engine, you have a way to constantly just bestow her. Hopefully that's how it works. Yeah, I know I should have looked it up beforehand, but if that's how it works, then bestow is going to be very similar to Derevi, and it could be pretty underrated, constantly giving a creature +4/+4. No other keywords, but that's a decent amount of power, and this is in addition to, yet again, a great card draw engine. And with Estrid the Masked, if there are any good combos associated with her, probably the Chain Veil. She may very well be the most powerful Planeswalker commander of this set, so just keep that in mind. If you're looking for power alone, she might just be it. You could also say the same thing about Aminato of the commander deck, Subjective Reality, the one I did last week. She's also pretty powerful too. There are some combos associated with her already. But yeah, Tuvasa the Sunlit, also a decent card draw engine, but to me, not as interesting. Just giving +1/+1 for each enchantment you control is pretty boring. And Ericsmethis might be the most uniquely designed card here, because we have a creature that comes into play as a land, something you don't really see that often. And it's a Slumbering Isle. It's really cool. It's interesting. It's thought-provoking. A land commander that's literally a land isn't something that we've had. So definitely something I'll be looking to build around as well. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about Adaptive Enchantment. Are you going to get this deck? Are you going to get any of the other Commander 2018 decks? Please let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you want to support the channel, the link to my Patreon will be in the description below. It'll help encourage me to do more videos that you want me to do. I also release polls every single week for my Commander Tips videos, as well as my Commander Deck Tech videos. But you guys keep playing Commander, keep the game alive, enjoy yourselves. Void here signing off. You all have a wonderful day. See you all next video.